Hello there, this is part 3 of our training series, and this is where we left off. Not a very convincing simulation, since this shatters, the glass shatters before it impacts anything. So we're going to fix that by using the rigid body connect feature. So let's hide our control object, select all the fractures, Shift G collection. Let's make sure that we are selecting the right collection. Yeah, it's fractures. Then go under object, rigid body, connect. So what this will do, it will connect all the pieces into, it will kind of weld all the pieces together. What I'm not understanding is why they're still being thrown out. I think I understand. So I didn't run into this problem, I think, because the original position of these was closer to the fractures themselves. So let's see if that will at least fix the issue, if we get them closer to this. You can see it's not as bad, but to fix that, even make it even better, let's delete those connections and first disable the animation for this fracture. Let's get the control object. To disable the animation, you can hit tab, and I think if you actually that won't work. I think I just need to check this off to disable the animation, and we can. I think we should also first disable the fracture. As I said, I didn't run into this problem when I was trying this out. So let's fix it together. So I think I would need to first clear the rotation of this. Make sure I don't have any keyframes added, and also make sure that I apply the position of all the fractures. So let me first clear parent and keep the transformation, so that their transformation maybe was here, and then connect them back. So I'll just select the collection, and then rigid body, connect, and hopefully they're connected at this position. Great, I think that's better. So before we even parent them back to the control object, let's hit play. You can see we're still running into the same issue, but this time it's not because these control points, these connections are too far from the connected fractures. That I think has to do with first of all the solver. If you go to the scene settings under rigid body, there is the solver iterations. I think they are too low to create a very convincing effect, or I don't know how the word is. Yeah, we are having a few issues here because the solver iterations are not enough to create a more realistic calculation. So let's increase this to maybe 500. Let's try 200 and see. You can see you get better results as you increase this, but it also slows down the simulation. I think 300 is good enough, and since the rigid body system kicks in after impact, we won't really see this breakup happening before the rigid body system kicks in. So if I bring back the control object, make sure I reset the position, and parent all the fractures back to the control object. Why is it doing this? Shift G collection, and then select the control object, Control P, make sure you have keep offset. Great, and we just need to turn back the control object animation. You can see, though our iterations are not high enough, you don't really see, and I think by the time you start seeing this, this should already collide with an object, unless, but if you want, you can just increase the iterations even more to have a better simulation. But you can see it starts being very, very laggy. So now that we have that, you can see when this collides or falls onto the ground, they don't really break up. They try, but they are still welded together by these connections. No, let me try something I didn't try last time, because I think the further these fractures are from these connections, the more you run into these issues where these try to separate. I wasn't really very observative when I was trying the first example, so I didn't see some of these issues. So let me try something here. So if I parent these connections, Control L, what I'm also going to do, in order to select these easily, I'm also going to have them in their own collection. So hit new collection, I'll call them connections, so that I can easily select them. And what I'm going to do is parent them to the control object and see how that affects the simulation. So Control P, keep offset. Let's see. So they're not, let me see. Okay, they don't seem to follow the parent, and they don't have the animation, the animated button, because they are not rigid body, they're just empties. So yeah, I guess we would just have to, you just have to increase the solver to solve that issue, but it's not that visible. I think I also ran into this here. It was just simply hard to say, because by the time they start those gaps start appearing, this object is has started colliding with the other object. So you can see, you don't really see, so it doesn't matter that much. So so around before, what you can do actually before the physics kicks in, we should be around this frame here. Before it, then make sure that you are soon colliding with the object, so that you don't, or just increase the solvers. If your computer can handle it, and just increase the solvers until you that issue is not an issue anymore. But because I'm recording and I'm also simulating, it kind of slows my computer really too much. And you can also increase the steps per second to help with that. So now we have the connections, but even after impact, if you just ignore these gaps here, you see that the glass is not shattering just yet. So what we can do, if you select any of these connections, you can, under the physics tab, you can turn on breakable, so that at any impact higher than this threshold, these can break apart. So if I set this to breakable and set the impact really low, I just have to make sure that all the other links or connections have the same setting. So I'll just select Shift G to select all the other, and that for them to share these settings, I just have to right click this value and then copy to selected. This will transfer that value to all the other values, but I don't have the breakable set for them as well, set for them yet. So let me do that. So let me just select this, set breakable, and then Shift G and copy to selected, so that all the other pieces have that breakable turned on. So now you can see they're already breaking up, and I think the force with which this is being thrown is higher than the threshold we have set here, and it's a very low threshold we have set here. So yeah, it's understandable why this is shattering before we even impact, because the threshold is very small to break up these. So let's increase that to something like 50. Let's try at 100. And I think when the threshold was 10, it also was creating some of those gaps we were seeing before. So try keeping it a little bit high if you're throwing the object with a high velocity or with a high force. So make sure we copy to selected so that all the other particles or connections get the same. Okay, I think this force is a bit too high, so let's try 20. Again, make sure that all the other connections share that. It's supposed to be 20. Copy to selected. Let's verify. Good. You can see now it's breaking, but I think 20 is still a bit high, or maybe the velocity is not high enough, or the force of impact is not strong enough. So I'm just going to select the control object, and I think I should select just the control object, reduce the speed here, reduce the gap between these keyframes so that the animation speed is a bit higher, and that should also increase the throwing force, the velocity force, initial velocity. Maybe I can just move the control object from a high distance or a high position. Just need play around with some of the settings here. Let's see. Let's try 50 type. Copy to selected. Let's increase the solver here a bit. I think the maximum is 1000. Let's maybe the throw is a bit too high, so let's reduce the initial velocity. I'm not really sure why this is shattering before the effect when I'm using the same settings. Let's see. Let's go back to these original settings and I see how much I used even less here. Let's see if I look at how is it called? My connections here. Let's see what was happening with them. That's the thing about simulations. They can easily go wrong and you don't really know what happens. So it's basically the same setup, but for some reason I'm getting worse results here with higher solver iterations. Let me bring back to 300. It's worse. Okay, so I'm going to stop this part here and try to work out a solution, and I'll talk about that in the next part.